Look at that. There's a herd of elk just off the side of the highway. Here at Lookout Mountain. Look, it looks like they're molting or something too. Is that what that's called? Their fur is shedding. Their white butts. Look, people here in Colorado, they just bike by like it's no big deal. That's amazing. That's amazing. So this is the map of Lookout Mountain Park, currently right here in Orange at the parking lot. And we're going to be heading on a trail to get some good views. There's also the Buffalo Bill Museum in his grave just down the road as well. So it's been a long time since I've done this. Nate, you are my guide. We're going to hit this up today.
Yeah, I know all there is about it. I've walked hundreds and hundreds of miles of this mountain. It may not look like it, but people hire me to take them on hikes so they don't get lost.
Nate is my Sherpa.
I've only lost about 7 people, so it's a pretty good record.
That's a good rate.
Yeah.
That's a good rate.
Yeah.
You are my Sherpa today, man.
I am. I should have had a Sherpa on, but I'm a little underdressed for the moment. But we're going to have some fun.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Eric, and this is the Get Me Out of Here vlog. Today I'm in Lookout Mountain, just west of Denver, Colorado, near Golden, Colorado. And Nate's with me. He's a good friend of mine.
I'm Nate.
We go way back. We were college friends, college buds.
I'm a good friend of his.
Yeah, we've known each other for a long time. And
you should hear the things I know about this guy.
No, we're not going to.
Count to 3?
Yeah, Nate counts.
1, 2,
3.
Oh!
Oh my god.
I'm not going to get into the details.
Stories. Let me tell you.
I'm videotaping, man.
Whoa!
We'll have, actually, maybe after a few beers today, we might let a little bit loose and tell some of these stories. But anyway.
We're going to be making stories.
We're making stories. So we are here at Lookout Mountain, and Buffalo Bill, he is actually buried here as well, the legendary showman of the Wild West. He's also buried here on Lookout Mountain. He's got a museum. So planning to get some great hiking, some great views of the Rocky Mountains, and learning a little history today too of Buffalo Bill. So follow me. So this is one of the epic views of the Rocky Mountains straight ahead, and just absolutely breathtaking. And Nate, you were saying that these fences are fairly new right here, the no trespassing fences.
You used to be able to walk to almost the edge of the cliff to where those trees are over there, so you actually had a really nice view.
Wow.
Without any more trees in the way, but
that's crazy. So you used to
really
go
nice.
All the way down to where that cliff
it's
starts.
like your feet dangling off the edge.
Why did they have to build these fences? That sounds more exciting.
I think a lot of children died.
Oh, that wouldn't be good. That wasn't one of the treks that went sour for you, was it?
Dead babies.
Dead babies. I was going to ask too, do you know what that mountain is way over there?
Oh, I don't know anything about that stuff.
Wait, I thought you were my Sherpa. So here they've got the plant and wildlife guide for the mountain zones here in the Rocky Mountains. And we can knock this one off the list. Saw some Rocky Mountain elk driving here just moments ago. And who knows, maybe we'll run into some American black bears, or even a porcupine would be cool to see. But it is April 20th today, which is kind of an unofficial holiday, right? Here in Colorado.
No, it's an official holiday.
It's an official holiday in Colorado. So today is 420, and we are out hiking, getting a natural Rocky Mountain high here in the elevations, the high elevations of the Rocky Mountains. How many of these trails have you hiked?
Yeah, just 2.
Just 2?
I know really well.
You told me you're an expert here.
I know all about those trails. But only the first 15 minutes of each trail, because then I turn around.
Jesus.
Come back.
You're a terrible guide. I want my money back.
No, you owe me money.
Dang it. So here's another map. I'm trying to figure out what we're looking at, but I think that Centennial Cone is straight ahead. But here's some of the mountains, I guess, that we are viewing. And either way, this view is breathtaking. So here is some more information. Apparently this trail ahead is called the Lariat Loop. It's a scenic circle of natural splendors. And then they've got some info on Buffalo Bill Cody, who was a Western showman in the late 1800s, early 1900s. He was basically like a movie star in the late 19th century. His shows drew in thousands of spectators. He also performed at the Chicago World's Fair of 1893. And it says here, when Buffalo Bill Cody visited Lookout Mountain Park, he was so impressed by the view of the mountains and the plains over there, because these are the foothills to the Rocky Mountains, that he wished to be buried here. And that's exactly what happened. After his death in 1917, his family had him buried in Lookout Mountain Park in accordance to his wishes. And he is buried, and he's got a museum right behind me, which we're going to check out here in a second. So here's a view of Golden, Colorado. And look at that plateau right there. This is where the high plains meets the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. And wanted to point out too, that is Coors Brewery right there in Golden. It's where Coors Light, Coors beer is made. Water from the rivers and streams of the Rocky Mountains. There's a saying that's something similar to that. I can't remember what the saying is, but yeah, Coors Brewery there in Golden. Here's a rock that says Cement Bill. William Williams, 1868 to 1945, planned, designed, and built this highway, 1912 to 1913. I'm assuming that's this windy highway right here. There's a lot of bikers out today too, pretty cool. Popular place for road bikes. And here's another epic view of Golden, Colorado, the plateaus, the foothills of the Rockies. Here's another map, what you can see from here today. And they've got a Colorado School of Mines, not mimes, mines, here in Golden. And that plateau straight ahead is South Table Mountain, and North Table Mountain is right, or actually I said that wrong. This straight ahead is North Table Mountain. This is South Table Mountain, so these two plateaus right there. Some of these telescope things, these touristy looking Viewmasters. You can put a quarter in and get a better view. So here's the entryway to the Buffalo Bill Memorial Museum here on Lookout Mountain. Saddle up. Oh, look at this. I'm loving the Wild West displays. And there's some artwork here of Buffalo Bill himself on his horse. A true showman of the Wild West. Think of that as he was the ultimate movie star before there were movies. Just a lot of Wild West artwork here walking into the Buffalo Bill Museum. And there's a buffalo head hanging here as well. And look at that, that is beautiful. Look at that artist rendition of Buffalo Bill Cody. There's an actual photo of him, and this may be how tall he actually was. Possibly. Maybe 5'11", 6 feet tall. So just confirmed that is how tall Buffalo Bill was. He stood 6 feet tall, weighed between 180 and 200 pounds. So that was he was a pretty big figure for the time. In the late 1800s, lived from 1846 to 1917. Buffalo Bill Cody. His was the spirit of the West, typical of the West, one of her favored and favorite sons. Absolutely loving the stained glass window here. The Buffalo Bill Museum. Proceeding to enter, just paid. And here we go, going down a slope. See a Native American here to greet us. And here's a picture of Annie Oakley William Cody was the kindest, simplest, most loyal man I ever knew. He was the staunchest friend. He was, in fact, the personification of those sturdy and lovable qualities that really made the West. So Annie Oakley, a professional gunman and also a showman that traveled with Buffalo Bill, was very good friends with him. Just amazing displays here and information on Buffalo Bill's life. Gotta love the buffalo head when you walk in. But he was born in 1846 in LeClaire, Iowa, just off the Mississippi River. When he was 8, his family moved to Leavenworth, Kansas. And before he was 21, he encountered nearly every adventure a young man could experience on the American frontier. Also states that the Cody family opposed slavery in Kansas in the 1850s. When bleeding Kansas, the tensions prior to the Civil War broke out, with Kansas becoming a new state. Missouri was a slave state. Kansas, it was up to the people of Kansas to decide what they wanted, and it turned into a bloody fiasco. A lot of fighting in Kansas prior to the Civil War over slavery, whether to legalize it in the state of Kansas or not, which ended up not happening there in Kansas. But yeah, just incredible walkthrough of Buffalo Bill's career, from a frontiersman, a hunter, and a Wild West actor and showman that brought the spirit of the American West to thousands of people across the eastern United States. I didn't know this, but Cody was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor. He served as a scout for the Army for 4 years and received the Congressional Medal of Honor for an engagement on April 26, 1872. Years later, just 1 month after Cody's death in 1917, his Medal of Honor was rescinded because he had been a civilian scout at the time he received it. But then 72 years later, January 12, 1989, the Medal of Honor was reinstated. He was engaged on battles on the American frontier. This one, the Battle of Summit Springs, took place in northeastern Colorado, involving the U.S. cavalry. He was credited by General Carr, leader of the command, with killing Tall Bull. It was a group of Cheyenne dog soldiers that were attacking white settlements in Nebraska and Kansas in the late 1800s. In 1893, the World's Columbian Exposition, also known as the Chicago World's Fair, was one of the largest events in the history of the world, drawing in millions of people. And right next to the fair, Buffalo Bill had a Wild West show. In fact, it was his best season. It states here from April through October of 1893, 4 million people purchased tickets and saw Buffalo Bill's Wild West show in Chicago. The show expanded to include horsemen and horsewomen from around the world. Cowboys, the original Rough Riders, were joined by South American Guachos, Cossacks, Arabs, English Lancers, and more. The show's title became Buffalo Bill's Wild West and Congress of Rough Riders of the World. Wow. He was 47 years old and had achieved a celebrity status attained by few others at that time. There is his show outfit that he wore. You know, Buffalo Bill really did romanticize the American West, and that carried through in the 1920s in motion pictures. You know, John Wayne probably owes some of his own acting career to Buffalo Bill, who started it all the shows before movies and motion pictures. Here are some examples of memorabilia that was created after Buffalo Bill Cody's death, just to show what a larger-than-life symbol he has become when thinking of the American West. was very much romanticized in the 20th century. Buffalo Bill's tortilla chips, t-shirts, sarsaparilla, Western boots, action figures. And here's a stuffed buffalo. Another symbol of the American West. It says, William Buffalo Bill Cody earned his name while working as a buffalo hunter for the railroads. His efforts fed some 1,200 railroad workers laying track across the American plains. He was contracted to provide only 12 buffalo a day and was paid $500 per month. The majority of his hunting was before 1870. And throughout the American West, the bison was hunted nearly to extinction. It's very sad, but here it says by 1888, the buffalo herd owned by Cody for his Wild West was the fourth largest herd in the United States, consisting of only 18 animals. Many of the buffaloes alive today are descendants of this herd. So Buffalo Bill Cody played a large part in the preservation of the waning buffalo population. This is Buffalo Bill's saddle, manufactured by Collins and Morrison of Omaha circa 1897. And here is a buckskin jacket and pants worn by Buffalo Bill in the 1890s. These banners here are advertisements at the time. The Wild West comes alive for Buffalo Bill's Wild West shows. Look at that, Buffalo Bill shooting on horseback at full speed. So you could see these banners hanging in your town at the time, knowing that Buffalo Bill was coming to town soon to catch the show. And look at this. This is an actual Native American headdress worn by Iron Tail while performing with Buffalo Bill's Wild West show. And there's Iron Tail and Buffalo Bill right there with the very headdress on. Buffalo Bill had a lot of native tribes perform with him on his traveling shows. He supported them, and he also supported women's rights at the time. And this is Miss Annie Oakley, who also traveled with Buffalo Bill. She was also a showman and an amazing shooter, a marksman, and performed a lot of tricks with guns, as well as Johnny Baker. And this picture has him standing on his head shooting a gun. These shows would have been incredible to see in person at the time. And here is a clay pigeon used in some of his Wild West shows for shooting and showing off their tricks with firearms. There's also a couple photos here of Goldie Griffith and Lulu Parr, who were expert bronco riders with Buffalo Bill's Wild West show. And how cool is this? Here's an advertisement for his Wild West show in Congress of Rough Riders of the World. He had cowboys, horseback riders from South America, Mexico, Native Americans, just about every corner of the world at the time. That is wild. And here too is another advertisement. There's Arab riders as well, sword fighting. Oh, this would have been so awesome to see. By the end of 1916, Buffalo Bill was gravely ill, and he died on January 10th, 1917 of kidney failure. Right before he died, he was baptized. It says Buffalo Bill's last days were consumed with tying up loose ends. He wished to die a Catholic, so he was asked to be baptized by Father Christopher Walsh. And then he passed away shortly thereafter and was buried here next to this museum on Lookout Mountain. Here is a plaster cast of Buffalo Bill's hand made shortly before his death. And here is the very bugle that taps was played on at Buffalo Bill's funeral in 1917. And here it says that's a picture of Buffalo Bill's foster son, Johnny Baker. And he was part of building this very museum that opened up in 1921 next to Buffalo Bill's gravesite. This right here is a headdress that was worn by Sitting Bull, a famous Lakota Sioux Indian chief. And here's a picture of Buffalo Bill with Sitting Bull himself. Now, this was not the same headdress right here that Chief Sitting Bull was wearing in this photo. That is a different headdress. But this history here is incredible. It says in 1885, Sitting Bull joined Buffalo Bill's Wild West show for 4 months. He did not take part in any battle reenactments. Instead, he simply rode slowly around the arena after being announced as a great Lakota leader of the Battle of the Little Bighorn, also known as Custer's Last Stand. Over the years, Buffalo Bill's respect for Sitting Bull grew, and he wrote in 1908, "Sitting Bull impressed me as a deep thinker, conscientious as to the proper rights to the lands of their fathers." During the Ghost Dance in 1890, the Army asked Buffalo Bill to bring in Sitting Bull for questioning. Cody loaded a wagon with gifts and set off to convince Sitting Bull to meet peacefully with General Nelson Miles. The local Indian agent James McLaughlin intervened to prevent Cody from reaching his friend, Sitting Bull. The agent instead sent his Indian police to confront Sitting Bull and bring him in by force. When Sitting Bull resisted arrest, the police killed him. Buffalo Bill never had the chance to mediate this confrontation or influence a peaceful outcome on behalf of his friend. I never knew any of that. That's fascinating. It's also very sad. And here are moccasins too, owned by Sitting Bull. Here's another headdress worn by Short Bull, who is also another leader of the Lakota Sioux. States next to that Buffalo Bill saw both war and peace during his life and career. During the Indian Wars on the Great Plains, he participated as a U.S. Army Scout. Then in peacetime, Buffalo Bill became a friend to his former enemies, offering them equal pay in his shows, helping them preserve their culture and advocating for their rights. That is an incredible story. And it's all true. Did Buffalo Bill visit your town? So they have a list of U.S. states and cities where Buffalo Bill performed his Wild West shows. Now, I originally grew up in Iowa. So let's see, did Buffalo Bill perform in the Hawkeye State? And look at that. Yes, he did. So here's the state of Iowa. Look at all of the places Buffalo Bill visited and performed. And one of my hometowns is Atlantic. So Buffalo Bill was there August 29th, 1898 and July 30th, 1902. But it looks like he did not visit my other hometown, Spirit Lake, is not on the list, which actually surprises me because Spirit Lake is a resort area. It was a resort area back in the early 1900s, late 1800s as well. It's a lakes region. I would expect Buffalo Bill would have performed there, but looks like he did not. Okoboji, Spirit Lake, no Buffalo Bill visits. And the other listing here has all of the places he visited across the world. Austria, England, Belgium, Croatia, France, Germany, the Hungarian Empire, Scotland, Italy, Luxembourg, Spain, Wales, and Canada. So he was a world-renowned showman. Here's a display of the firearms of the Wild West. These are the guns that were used in the Wild West shows. And of course, there's got to be a Winchester rifle, the gun that won the West, so they say. In fact, all of these are Winchester rifles, now that I look at it closer. Oh, here's a Remington. So Winchester and Remington are the firearms that they used. And here are the bullets from these firearms in the Wild West, sporting and military. Here you can dress up and pose like a true cowboy on a horse here in the American West. Giddy up. Here are two hand-painted lamps that Buffalo Bill presented to his daughters, Arda and Irma, in the fall of 1890. Well, what a wonderful exhibit here on the life of Buffalo Bill Cody. Now I'm going to take you up to his actual grave site, which is just right next door to the museum. Posing as Buffalo Bill Cody. Yeehaw! Figured why not pose as Annie Oakley as well on the western frontier. So to give you an idea of how close the tomb is to the museum, that is the Buffalo Bill Museum there. Here is the gift shop, and he is buried right up that trail. Just a quick walk through the trees there is where Buffalo Bill is laid to rest. Now, talking to the museum curator, apparently this building that is now the gift shop was the original Buffalo Bill Museum. This was opened up in 1921, and then this museum here opened up in the late 1970s. So the gift shop was actually the original Buffalo Bill Museum, and this is where Buffalo Bill Cody is buried, per his wishes, here on top of Lookout Mountain. So here we go. Buffalo Bill's grave this way. And I love the architecture of this original museum. Now the gift shop, the Pahaska, or is it the Pahaska Teepee gift shop. And here is a sculpture of a buffalo. Very fitting. Attention, stay off the buffalo though, so no posing on the buffalo. Be respectful. And here's a lookout spot here on Lookout Mountain. Beautiful views, and there's downtown Denver straight ahead on the other side of that radio tower. You can see the skyline of Denver. It's kind of hazy in that direction, but there it is. That is the city of Denver, Colorado, located where the high plains meets the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. And here is the tomb of Buffalo Bill Cody on top of Lookout Mountain. William Frederick Cody, Buffalo Bill, 1846 to 1917, and his wife Louisa Maud Cody, 1844 to 1921, at rest here by his request. There's an American flag, and also people have thrown some coins onto the grave. A lot of beautiful rocks and stones. Just a beautiful final resting place. And for a character like Buffalo Bill, who was larger than life, no better place than the top of a mountain for people to still come and be entertained even after death. Well, just a beautiful resting place. Rest in peace, Buffalo Bill, Cody, and an amazing museum here as well. It's not a very big museum. You can get through it fairly quickly, and it's totally worth coming up here just for the views and the history. So a lot more to see today, a lot more to show you here on Lookout Mountain. I have to look down so I don't fall down the stairs. But anyway, rest in peace, Buffalo Bill. We got more to go see today, so let's keep moving. Going inside the Pahaska or Pahaska, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or not, but this is the Pahaska Teepee Gift Shop, the original museum. This was built in 1921. It is now the gift shop. Let's browse through this really quick, and I want to get a fridge magnet. I collect fridge magnets, so here we go. A lot of American Wild West posters, memorabilia, themes. Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. So look at this lodge. The woodwork, the wood framing, and all kinds of amazing gifts that you can get here. Coffee cups, Colorado cups, magnets, shirts, even Christmas decorations. Just an awesome gift shop here next to the Buffalo Bill Museum and gravesite. They even have postcards of actual photos of these people from the Wild West, these icons from American history.